Happy New Year, guys. I figured we'd start off 2018 strong by talking about the Insidious films. There's a new entry on its way out very shortly, and as a bonus, I figured we'd also talk about the Sinister films. They're not really tied together, but they kind of are on a creative level, so I figured we'd jump them all in, considering Sinister would only be a mini timeline on its own. And with Insidious bouncing back and forth through time, let's check out his timeline. The insidiousness began in 2010 with Insidious, which tells of a young couple and their three kids who have just moved into a new house, and their oldest son goes into a catatonic state. We then cut to 3 months later, and lots of weird stuff starts happening, so they move out. But at the new house, more weird stuff starts happening, including Darth Maul showing up, so they call a paranormal investigator who sends two awkward guys to run some tests using technology. Kind of like Poltergeist. Next, the psychic comes in to cleanse the house, kind of like Poltergeist. And she tells them that their son is trapped in the Further, a kind of supernatural limbo, and they hold a seance to retrieve him. It turns out a creepy old ghost lady has been stalking Dad since he was a boy, so he travels into the Further himself to save little Dalton and finds his way back by going into the light. Following her voice. They both wake up, but it turns out that Josh is possessed by the old lady and strangles Elise, and we're left with a cliffhanger. And there's no date on this one, so let's tentatively go with 2010. We pick up again 3 years later in 2013 with Insidious Chapter 2, which starts us off in 1986, and we see a younger Elise meet a younger Josh, and then we flash to right after the events of the last one with Renee being questioned by police about Elise's death. And it's clear that the old woman's ghost is still hiding in Josh. The tech guys hold a seance to reach Elise in the afterlife, which helps Josh's mom remember an old man patient with some issues, and it's finally revealed that this is Parker Crane, who is actually the old lady ghost. He was a murderer while he was alive and is now using Josh's body to wreak havoc. Meanwhile, Josh messes with time travel and Further, becoming the source of the knocking in the first movie, and meets up with Elise's ghost, and they both time travel to 1986. Finally, they face off against Parker's mom while Renee takes on Parker and Josh's body, and they kill the mom, and Dalton goes into the Further to rescue his dad. We end with the family happy, and Ghost Elise goes to help another lost soul. So with the intro taking place in 86, and with the press material stating that the events of this film are 25 years later, although that's never stated in the film, that would place Josh in his late 30s, which looks right, and since the first and second film take place right after one another, both films happen in 2011. 2 years later, in 2015, time jumps around with Insidious Chapter 3, which starts off with Elise still alive, since this one takes place a few years before the Lambert haunting. This one focuses on Quinn and her family trying to reach out to the spirit of her dead mother. Quinn has a poster for PJ Harvey's Her album, which came out in 2004, so we're at least after that, and then we see her using a T-Mobile sidekick. From what I can tell, it appears to be a Sidekick 3, which is available from about 2006 to 2008, so we're getting closer to a date here, so let's just say 2008, since it says a few years later, and that would place it 3 years later, which makes sense. More ghostly stuff happens, and Elise helps out by going into the Further and having a brief encounter with Parker Crane, who chokes her, so deja vu, I guess. Tucker and Specs show up, and then Elise faces off against the demon guy that's plaguing Quinn, and she's aided by the ghost of her mom, and then they vanquish the guy. Elise then goes back into business, teaming up with Tucker and Specs, and a cliffhanger of the lipstick demon guy. Coming out very, very soon here is Insidious 4, The Last Key, which will actually feature Elise once again, will again be a prequel to the first movie and take place after Part 3. So the sequel events will be Part 3, Part 4, Part 1, and then Part 2. And now we jump over to the Sinister films and see where they place into the timeline. We can theorize that maybe these films take place in the same universe. Why not? The first Sinister film came out in 2012 and starts off with the Oswald family moving into a new home because the greatest terror in modern horror films is apparently moving. While writing a book about murders that happened in her new house, Ellison finds an old projector and a series of films with dates on them. One is Family Hanging Out 11, which is film footage of the murder that happened there, which was recent, so we're either in 2011 or 2012, depending on the time of year. The films are from different times, like 98 and the 60s, and then weird stuff starts happening with the kids, and a creepy guy shows up in the footage. Some uploaded files gives us a solid date of October 3rd, 2011, and then this missing photo shows that the tree incident happened in August of 2011. And then the Kingpin shows up to tell Ellison about Bagul. eater of children. And then kids' ghosts show up, and there's a bunch of boo moments until Ellison burns the films, and then they move out. Unfortunately, the films show up again with new endings, and it's discovered that all of the killings take place right after the victims have moved. Because moving is the greatest terror. So the new endings show that the killings were all carried out by the family's children, who were the ghosts in the house, and the little Oswald girl kills the whole family and then joins Bughuul's kid ghost army, and the last reel is dated 12, so the events of the film spilled over into the new year, apparently. 3 years later, Sinister 2 arrives and kicks off with a woman and her 2 kids moving to a rural house, and a deputy from the first film is still investigating the murders. There's another projector and new films and new kids, so I'm not sure if these are all from new killings since the last film or if there was 2 chains of killings going on, because the film reels no longer have dates on them. The deputy says that he was arrested a few years ago in relation to the Oswald killings, so we're a few years since then, so it's looking like 2015 here. Seems to be a solid date. After the ghosts corrupt one of the children, their abusive father comes back to reclaim them, setting them up for a move. Deputy guy saves the day twice, and the kids get taken away by Bughuul, which doesn't get any less silly the more I say it. The family gets away, but there's a cliffhanger bit, of course. So there you have it, 5 movies, about to be 6. They aren't tied together outside of their series, but they do have pretty good continuity within series, so I guess that's okay, not too bad there. From what I'm told, there will be no Sinister 3, but obviously Insidious 4, and I expect there'll be more after that too. So, well, that's about it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like it, subscribe, share, do all the normal stuff there. Check out my Patreon page down below. And as always, I want to thank these great people off to the side here for promoting my channel and subscribing, and also contributing to my Patreon page as well too. So thank you guys very, very much. Appreciate it. And we'll see you in another couple weeks with another great video. Thank you.